Healing is not a vibe, it's a mission. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Escape series where we dismantle narcissistic family systems, decode the invisible warfare of emotional abuse, and reclaim the truth of who you were before the story tried to rewrite you. Today's video is titled, Healing is not a vibe, it's a mission. Because let's make one thing clear from the beginning. Healing is not an aesthetic. It's not a Pinterest board. It's not about crystals, candles, or curated moments of peace while your inner world is on fire. Real healing is not a temporary mood, it's a long-term operation. It's deep, often brutal, often liberating reconstruction. It is a full-scale mission to excavate your true identity from the wreckage of who you were told to be. And if you come from a narcissistic family system, then you already know that healing is not something you stumble into. You fight for it. You commit to it. You declare it. Because no one raised in dysfunction accidentally becomes whole. It's not a default setting. It's a choice. And often, the hardest one you'll ever make. Let's start by telling the truth about what you've been through. Narcissistic abuse is not just about overt cruelty. It's not just the yelling, the name-calling, the gaslighting. It's the chronic invisibility. The way your needs were consistently minimized, your voice was ignored, your emotions were dismissed. It's growing up in a house where walking on eggshells was normal, where you became hyper-attuned to everyone else's emotional state, but completely disconnected from your own. That level of trauma doesn't just fade with time. It imprints on your nervous system. It teaches your body that safety is conditional and that peace is temporary. So if you've ever wondered why you can't relax, why you sabotage relationships, why you feel more comfortable in chaos than in calm, it's because your body was trained for war. Not by accident, by repetition. This is complex PTSD. Not the kind you get from one single catastrophic event, but the kind that builds over time, layer by layer, year by year. It's waking up decades later and realizing that your entire personality was shaped around survival, that your people-pleasing is a trauma response, that your perfectionism is a shield, that your emotional reactivity isn't about weakness, it's about a nervous system that's been under siege since childhood. That's what we're dealing with, and that's what you're healing from. So no, it's not a vibe, it's a mission. Healing starts with naming the wound. And for most survivors of narcissistic abuse, the deepest wound is not what was done to you. It's what was never allowed to form. Your identity, your self-concept, your sense of worth. If you were the scapegoat, your worth was shredded through blame. If you were the golden child, it was inflated and conditional love as a performance, not a promise. If you were the lost child, your worth was buried in silence. In all roles, the message was the same. Who you are is not enough or it's too much. Either way, you must edit yourself to belong. So what does healing look like in this context? It looks like reclaiming every part of yourself that was disowned. It looks like grieving the years you spent becoming what they needed instead of what you are. It looks like remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. That's not romantic. That's not easy. That's reparenting. And if you're serious about it, you'll need to become the parent you never had. You'll need to create structure, discipline, and compassion for yourself. You'll need to validate your emotions and challenge your beliefs. You'll need to learn how to sit with discomfort instead of avoiding it, and how to choose aligned discomfort over familiar dysfunction. Let's talk nervous system. Because if your trauma lives in the body, and it does, then no amount of mindset work alone will set you free. You have to train your body to feel safe in slowness, safe in stillness, safe in relationships that aren't based on intensity, drama, or control. Most trauma survivors are addicted to emotional spikes. Chaos feels like home. So the first time you date someone kind, stable, and healthy, you'll probably feel bored. That's not boredom. That's unfamiliarity. Your body doesn't recognize peace yet, and until it does, you will keep chasing danger and calling it chemistry. Regulating your nervous system is not optional, it's foundational. It's the difference between responding and reacting, between observing your triggers and being hijacked by them. Somatic healing, breathwork, cold exposure, EMDR, polyvagal theory. These are not trends. They are tools. Because healing is not just cognitive, it's physiological. Your mind may understand that you are no longer in danger, but until your body believes it, you'll keep reenacting the same cycles: sabotage, collapse, overfunction, burnout. And while we're being honest, boundaries are not just cute slogans on social media. They are spiritual warfare. Especially when you come from a narcissistic system. Because every time you set a boundary, you disrupt the power dynamic they counted on to control you. And if you were trained to believe that love means sacrifice, then boundaries will feel like betrayal. But they're not. They are evidence that you finally believe your needs matter. That you trust yourself to create safety without outsourcing it to dysfunctional people. You need to stop trying to convince your abuser that they hurt you. You need to stop waiting for the apology that's never coming. You need to stop negotiating your healing with the very people who depend on your brokenness to feel powerful. That is not healing. That is self-abandonment dressed up as loyalty. And that ends now. Healing also means accepting the grief. Because when you truly wake up, you realize that what you needed never came. That your childhood was not what it should have been. That your family never saw you not because you weren't worthy, but because they weren't capable. That grief is real, and you cannot bypass it. You cannot manifest your way around it. You have to feel it. Let it move through you. Grieve the mother you didn't have. Grieve the father who couldn't protect you. Grieve the childhood that was stolen from you while you were busy surviving. That grief is sacred. It's not weakness. It's a funeral for a fantasy. Once you allow that, something miraculous happens. You begin to feel space. Not peace, not yet, but space. And in that space, you begin to build. Not perform, not hustle, not people please. You begin to build a life rooted in your own values, not someone else's illusion. And yes, it will be awkward at first. You will question yourself. You will wobble. You will relapse into old roles because they're familiar. But if you stay with it, if you stay with you, you will find yourself on the other side. The mission of healing is not just to feel better. It's to become sovereign, to own your name, to trust your gut, to feel safe inside your own skin, to stop asking others to reflect your worth back to you because now you know it internally. That's the power they never wanted you to find. That's why they called you selfish, dramatic, crazy. Because if you ever saw yourself clearly, you'd stop begging and start building. You are not too damaged to heal. You are not too old to start. You are not too broken to build. You are a sovereign soul who survived a psychological battlefield. And now you are rebuilding your temple, brick by brick, thought by thought, breath by breath. That's the mission, not a vibe, not a trend, a mission. And it begins when you stop looking for rescue and start choosing resurrection. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.